I'm going to start with a story. This rabbi went to Philadelphia for a conference. She was from Indianapolis. So she went to the conference in Philadelphia, and then she went to the airport to fly home. She got to the airport and she saw on the board, which we've all seen in our lifetime, the plane is delayed for 2 hours. And you know what she said to herself? Why am I here? So then she waited and waited and waited. They got onto the plane. The plane pulled out into the tarmac. They sat on the tarmac for 2 hours. And she said to herself, why am I here? The plane pulled back into the terminal and they let everyone out. They said, the plane's not going off today. So she went, got a hotel room, got a new flight, was in the hotel room at night, and she said to herself, why am I here? And she went back to the airport. This time she got on the plane and took off right away. And she was sitting next to this man on the airport. He started to talk to her. He asked her why she was wearing a kippah. And she said, well, I'm a rabbi. And he said, you're a rabbi? And she said, yeah. He said, you know, I'm a Jewish person who's never done anything Jewish. I've never gone to synagogue. I've done nothing. What is it about Judaism? Why should I be interested? And she spent the 2-hour flight flying back and talking to the man about Judaism. And when they landed, he said, thank you so much for being here, Rabbi. I think I'm going to start engaging in some way in Judaism. And then she knew why she was there. You know, this question of why are you here is a question that I can tell you I've asked myself the same question many times. Sometimes I get the answer right away, the way that rabbi did on the plane. And sometimes I wait for days and months, but then I get the answer. And there's some questions of why I was in a certain place or why something happened to me I still don't have the answer to. So I think as you sat through the prayers this morning, I bet you a few of you might have even said to yourself, why am I here? Why am I here today at Yom Kippur services? It's a whole day. Well, here's some possible answers to why you were here today. The first is that Yom Kippur, with all the rituals and liturgy, is an opportunity to reflect on our lives and ask ourselves some important questions like, who am I? Where am I going? And am I headed in the right direction? These are great questions to ask yourself today. So that's one reason you might have been here. Many people come to Yom Kippur services because of Yizkor. Yizkor is an amazing time. It's a time where we acknowledge people we've lost, and we get to bring them back to life in another dimension by our memories. And we can even think about giving them a metaphorical hug, people we've lost. It's wonderful to have a moment like this, to bring back those that we have lost. Though we can't bring people back who've died, we can make them alive in a different way by remembering them during Yizkor today. And there are some folks who really attend any Jewish services. They never come to Torah study or to our Friday night things, but they come today. And they come today for an important reason. They come today because they find comfort and support in knowing they are part of something, and something that is enduring and has lasted for centuries. And if you think it isn't enduring and important, you can think about all the Jewish martyrs who've lost their lives trying to maintain the Jewish world. And they're Jewish heroes too. They've helped sustain Judaism. But mostly, it's not the martyrs, it's not the heroes. It's just the folks who put on a kippah, might have put on a talit, went to services, went to Torah study, or engaged in some Jewish ritual in their home. They're the people that have sustained Judaism. But there's one last reason, which I think is the most important reason for your coming here today. Because by coming here today, you've said something very important to your friends, family, and community. You've said a very special word, and the word in Hebrew is Hineini. I am here. I am here. That's what you said by coming. You said Hineini. And you're not the first to say it, believe me. If you read the Torah, there are all sorts of biblical heroes who said Hineini. God calls to them and says, Ayeka, where are you? Of course God knew where they were. He wasn't asking for a geographical location. He was asking for something deeper. Where were they when he called to Moshe and to Abraham and to Jacob and to Samuel and to Isaiah? He asked them, where are you in this place and time? Are you ready to be my partner in co-creating the Jewish people? David Cohn, Rabbi David Cohn, has a beautiful way of helping us understand what it means to say Hineini as we are gathered here on Yom Kippur. I want to read it so I get it exactly right. The answer Hineini means, here I am, a partner with you in the eternal covenant between you and our people. And yet, the word conveys so much more. To say Hineini expresses a yearning for spiritual awakening, a moment, however, fleeting, in which we feel close to the heart of the universe. It indicates a receptive mind, an openness of soul. It declares a readiness to engage, to take part in the unfolding of the Jewish people's history. It signals the moment when the details of my own life story become one with the story of our people, a legacy I stand ready to pass down to those who follow. To say Hineini is to live simultaneously in the past, present, and future, to be aware of our past as a source of identity and values, and see to the future, alert to its possibilities, committed to its betterment, and to experience every day in the present, living according to our values, grateful for every moment. To say Hineini is to admit that I cannot fully be present with this community. I must be present with this community to say Hineinu with them. Here we are. Indeed, we are Jews, a communal people. Our individual efforts accrue meaning and gain purpose when we make them with others. There's so many other beautiful ways to understand what we mean when we say Hineini. Here are some teachings from some other teachers. I'll paraphrase here. Hineini is a response of sacred, undiluted presence, a response in which our souls shed all reservations, indicating a readiness to receive and respond to whatever experience is about to unfold. It is brave and humble. It is the kind of response we offer only a few times in our lives, when we promise ourselves to the one who we love, not knowing what the future might bring, when we gaze into a newborn's gaze and promise we'll never let them down, and when we promise ourselves as we enter a new era of our lives that we will try to be all that we can be. One can hope that by saying Hineini today, it becomes a habit, that you experience every moment in your life as a Hineini moment. You live your life by being awakened to your journey towards making yourself and the world a better place. Just as our ancient ancestors were God's partners in co-creating the world, each of us is called to this task in every moment in our lives. We all had moments in our life last year or in the distant past where we were disappointed by something we did or by others. These disappointments can sometimes make us withdraw and not say Hineini, because by withdrawing, you don't run any risks. You can't make a mistake when you don't try anything. You know, the best approach to disappointments is not to try and figure out why these things happened hours and hours. Why did this happen? Why did she say this? Why did I do this? There's so many variables. You can't possibly figure out most really complex things that have happened in your life. It's better not to say, why did this happen? It's better to say, what do I do now? How can I bring Hineini energy into the situation and be present and fully engaged despite being hurt or disappointed? Today we'll visit two different prophets, Jonah and Isaiah, two different prophets. We'll visit Isaiah this morning, Jonah this afternoon when we're doing our study session. They both had different approaches. When Jonah is called, he doesn't say Hineini. He runs to Tarshish. He runs away from his call. And he's taught a lesson at the end of the book about how important it is to say Hineini. Isaiah, there's this beautiful scene in Isaiah 6. We say it in the Amidah when we go Kadosh, 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 Adonai Sevaot. Isaiah is in the throne room with the angels. And he's hearing them say Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. And God says to him, I need someone to send to the people. And you know what Isaiah says? Hineini, send me, send me. So my hope is that when we're called, we're more Isaiah than Jonah. We're more Isaiah than Jonah. And there's a beautiful, Hasidic stories are great. There's this great Hasidic story about a man, a rabbi who became very impatient. When is the Messiah going to come? He wants to know when the Messiah is going to come. He's been waiting and waiting, praying and praying. No Messiah. So he decides he'll go to Elijah. Now Elijah is the prophet who's supposed to announce the coming of the Messiah. That's where we open the doors to Elijah at our Seder. We're really asking for redemption. We're asking for the Messianic age to begin. So he goes up and he says to Elijah, when's the Messiah going to come? And he says, Messiah's already there on earth. He's been there for months. The rabbi says, really? He's been here for months? He said, yeah. Go to the gates of the city and you'll see the Messiah. He's bandaging the hands of lepers at the gates of the city. So the rabbi runs to the gates of the city to see the Messiah. And sure enough, there's this glowing individual bandaging the hands of lepers at the gates of the city. And he's baffled. Nothing else is happening. So he keeps going back day after day. And the Messiah is bandaging people and not doing anything else. So he's frustrated. He goes back to Elijah and says, what kind of Messiah is this? I went every day, I saw him, and he was bandaging people. That was what he was doing. So Elijah said, well, you didn't realize something important. When you went to see the Messiah, he was waiting for you to say, Hineini, here I am, and to take over his duties and start bandaging the lepers. So he was free to usher in the Messianic age, but you didn't say it. So he's still there bandaging, waiting for someone to come and say, Hineini. We all hope, just like the rabbi in this story, for a better world. A world where children don't go hungry. A world that's not plunged into conflict. You've taken the first step by coming here today. Because by coming here today, you've said your first real Hineini. You said, I'm committed. I'm committed to doing something to make myself a better person. I'm coming here today to reflect on my life through our prayers and our rituals. And when we finish our work today, at Nila, the slate will be clean. You'll be perfected as you can be perfected this day. You'll be fully renewed. So there'll be times this year where you will be called to say Hineini. Hopefully there'll be small things. They won't be crises. where you'll be called to say Hineini. And hopefully, in those moments, each of us will find a way to say Hineini, here I am, in the deepest, most committed way. And if you can do that with the small or big problems in your life, it'll be a major step towards making the world a better place. And you will release the Messiah who's bandaging the lepers. You'll be part of that process of releasing the Messiah to make for a better world. So my hope for you all is that this Hineini idea comes smoothly and easily, that you live a life filled with wanting to say Hineini, and you will say it just the way Isaiah did when he was up with the angels. You won't need to go all the way up to the angels and see them saying Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. When you're called, you'll say, Hineini, here I am, here I am. So with that, may we all be sealed in a book of life, goodness, health, and love. And we'll continue to our Torah.